guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna, and for those of you who are new here, welcome. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back. Here on my channel, I do planner and planner related videos with the occasional new release video of items that I've listed to my Etsy shop. And if that is of interest to you, please consider subscribing for my channel. And if you hit that little notification bell, you will always be notified of when I load a new video. And if you could also comment, like, and share this video, that would be amazing. So for today's video, I wanted to do a quick flip through of my Happynichi, Fauxbonichi, Happynichis, and also talk to you about 3 different divider hacks that I thought might be interesting or useful to you. So, as I've mentioned in a previous video, I did make this cover, and eventually I hope to film a tutorial on how I did it, but there's just a lot on my plate now. Because I do throw this in my purse, I do want to protect the rings, although I'm pretty sure people throw these things in their purse all the time, but I have to hold my purse in my lap because I take the bus, and so I don't know if that affects it, because I think most people just take it in their bags and then have their bags next to them in their cars. At least that's what I'm assuming people are doing. So I did make this cover, and it is in the traveler's notebook style, hence the elastic. I did make this. This is actually just a cash envelope that I took out of my stock and velcroed on here, just because I do plan to use this not as a cash envelope but to store some things. I've made this entire Happynichi because I cannot source the half sheet Happy Notes here in Hawaii. So this is made of a placemat. I had the rings on hand. The pages are made from a big happy planner page. And someone had asked me, so the reason why there's no border is because I used a big happy planner, or not a big, what am I trying to say? So basically the page was like this. So that's what the page looked like. But in order to get 2 sheets out of 1 piece of paper, you do have to use the big sheet sized for the big happy planner, because if you use a classic, you'll only be able to get 1 of equal widths, because this is actually a little bit wider than the halfway point of a classic page. I don't know why my words are so difficult right now. So let me put just this back. And then in that DIY video on how I showed you how to make your own half sheet Happy Notes, I did repurpose some dividers that I had from an old planner. So I just cut them down and punched them. And what I want to show you today, the first of the 3 different divider tricks, is what you actually see here. Because it didn't really go with what seems to be a theme right now, sort of a Hawaii-based theme, kind of tropically. I wanted to have this more neutral, and so for hack number 1, I actually have one back here. We're going to cover this in a coloring page. Now, I could choose to color it in, but I've done this before in some of my other planners, and so I know that it's not likely, but I do like the look of it. And I just had this in my stash, and what I'm going to do is look for a page that is a full pattern like this, versus something like this, because again, I do want to get 2 sheets out of this 1 page. And then I also learned this when I was doing the other pages, is if you rip along, how did I do it? I think I did it this way. So if you take your page, I must have done it this way. Yeah. So if you take your page and you put a straight edge against it, it won't be perfectly straight, but it will be less likely to rip ugly. And because I'm trying to do it for camera, it's just super awkward. So I have my sheet there. And so I use my paper trimmer. And I know that the divider is 9 2/5 by 4 1/8. So 9.25 by 4.125, and because I need the divider at the bottom, that's why it's flipped over like that. So I'm only actually going to cut the width of it. Oh, so point number 1. If you want to cover everything so that it's seamless, let me see if I can put it so you can see. You can see it goes all the way to the edge. Now the problem with that is you have to be really good with your glue or it'll lift up. Now that's not a problem for me, so I'm just going to leave it as is. But what I did learn is if I want to avoid that altogether, then I need to cut it down so that it doesn't hit the holes at all and I don't have to repunch anything. So if that's what you'd like to do, then what you'll want to do is 3.75, but just a smidge shy of that. And let me see if I can show you. So 3.75 is that line between 3.5 and 4. I'm trying to find a pointer that isn't all colored up. So it would be this line right here. So that line right there, up there. But what I cut mine at is, so 3.75 is there. I cut it at just a smidge shorter than that, just because the Happy Planner pages are not very forgiving, and I'd rather be a little bit shy than overextend and have to punch, if that makes any sense. All right, so we are going to cut at, and I am really hoping you're in frame, at, again, just shy of 3.75, and we're going to do that twice. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, it helps if it is straight. And that's actually all the cutting that we need to do with our cutter anyway. And this one goes in here. Now eventually I'll probably change the cover and the dividers, but as of right now my focus is just playing in my Happynichi, and so I don't want to spend too much time worrying about these things, although I do want it to look nice. So you can use a glue stick, and that's what I'm going to use. Again, this doesn't have to last me forever. I just want it to last me for a little while. And you could use something like this, which is the double-sided tape. You could use wet glue, although it probably would buckle. So I'd recommend something like this, because again, like I said, I don't need this to last me forever and a day. I just want it to last for a little while. So because I'm not going to be doing anything by the punch, I just want to make sure I put a good amount, especially in the corner, because that's where it will tend to lift. Now this one says extra strength glue stick. We'll see. I've never had this one before. I picked it up today. But what you'll want to do is, I don't want it so that I have to cut anywhere but one edge. So I'll line this up And the thing with wet glue versus double stick tape is that you do have a little bit of time to move it. Just want to press that down. And because we're not worried about any of the punches, because again, that doesn't bother me, this is fine because the most of it is covered. And then the only bit you need to cut is this one right here. And then repeat on the other side. And since I make a lot of my own things, because I want the things, but I can't necessarily purchase them here, I've just devised ways that don't break the bank that I can do, and hopefully people can replicate rather easily. Because I know I'm not the only one. People have commented that they also struggle finding products in their area, whether they're overseas, whether they're on other tropical islands or in the Caribbean or just even parts of the mainland. So I'm hoping this is useful to someone because it makes it pretty without a lot of work, and I had all of the materials on hand. Okay, and then again, just cut it off. And then if you can tell, I actually covered the tab area. So I'm going to do the same. Again, this is the side I need because I need that final tab down here. And as I mentioned in that video that I did, where I made this DIY Happynichi half sheet thing, it's better if you can cut down dividers from a classic Happy Planner because then they're sized correctly. But the only thing that I had available was a big Happy Planner. So that's why these are not staggered correctly, because I had to try to jerry-rig it. That also means that labels like this, which I believe are sized for the classic, don't necessarily fit. But that's okay. We will just cut it down. And you don't need to do this, but because it is kind of beigey versus pure white, I just didn't like the way that that looked. And it doesn't matter to me that the back of this is rose gold because I'm probably never going to look at my planner backwards to front anyway. So I hope you can see this. I'm just cutting around. And then later on, that will be the section for some important information that I like to have with me. And I did already make the cover pages for that. So I made this cover page here, and then I made this cover page here. Because again, it's important information that when I'm in here and I'm showing you guys, I probably won't show this section just because it's personal and private. But that's just the first hack of the 3 hacks that I will be doing in this video. And again, it's neutral. If I wanted to, I could color it. I'm not going to, but I think it does look better than what I had before. And you can, because I've done a few flip throughs of my previous, what this looked like before. So you can just check that out if you're interested. And then that little tab thing I got from a Carpe Diem sticker book I had in my stash. So that is tip number 1, or hack number 1. Hack number 2 is you could decide, you know what, I want this to be a functional dashboard. So not only is it a divider between sections, but I want to be able to put Post-it notes on this. So you know, my trick is I use a lot of packing tape when I'm not laminating things, just because it gives you that protective, shiny coat when either a laminator is not feasible, because you could laminate this, but you know, I don't want to, or it's not available because before or until I started doing traveler's notebooks, I did not have a laminator because I never saw a need for one. And so you could just make that slick and then cut that off. And again, if I weren't doing this for camera, I would have taken a little bit more time on it. Nothing came over this edge, so the only other one to cut is this one right here. And nothing also went over our punched area, so we're good. And this front section is where I keep my template and some other things. It's not necessarily private, I don't want to lose it, so I just keep this clipped together. And it does give it a little bit more structure, but more importantly, if you wanted to, you could stick Postit notes on here. And then it just makes it easy on the go, and it also lifts up really nicely. So that's my second tip. It's simple, these all are, but if you're trying to utilize the things you have, not purchase new things, or if you just don't have access to purchase new things for whatever reason, hopefully this can help you just have multi-purpose functions for things that you already have or hopefully are interested in making. And then the third hack tip is in my planner section. And the 5 sections that I have is my planner section. I plan to do my social media and business tracking in here. I will do personal trackers that have nothing to do with social media or business. I have a section for ideas. And then this one, when I write it in, will be for just important information. But in my planner section, because I am doing the Happynichi style, I do want to keep my months separate, although I don't necessarily want to put one of these big heavy cardstock things or even make new dividers. So what I've done is I've just made little dividers here for each section. And I've already done June. So that's there. I've yet to do the cover page, but that's for an upcoming video. And June is already mapped out by way of, okay, this is equivalent to this spread. So this would be the July cover page. So I'm going to take this out, and it's actually really simple. I'm going to take my Walmart sticker book, and this is one of the larger ones. This was the $7 one versus the $3 one. And I'm going to look for the mushroom stickers. Like I said, this looks like a mushroom to me. And the colors that I used previously was that peachy color there, and then that light teal there. So I think we'll go for pink. Now the great thing about working on a dot grid paper is that I don't really have to worry about spacing because I can just count down. So for the first tab that I did, I counted 2 down, and that's where the first tab is, I believe. Yeah, so I counted 2 dots down, and then that's where I lined it up. So it's 2 dots down, 4 dots in, and then this next one is 4 dots down, 4 dots in. So for this July one, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, 6 dots down, 4 dots in, and in that way I'm always going to be lined up and it's staggered correctly. So I'll put that there. And then when I fold it over, I'll just fold it so that there is a smidge of a border. I won't be so fussy that I'm going to measure it. And then I'll just fold it in on itself. And then I know this will be absolutely staggered correctly. It may jut out a little bit more, but I mean, placement-wise, it'll be good. And then I'll write the month. And you will need a very fine tip pen if you're doing something this small. If you use a wider sticker, then of course you don't have to write as small. And then just to protect it, I just use some regular clear tape. And this is something I do at work all the time just to protect my tabs, because I use really cute tabs and I don't want them to break in my file cabinet. And then fold it in on itself. And I don't even cut the sides because that does not bother me. And then I can go ahead and do the cover page. And then if this bothers me, then I can cover this up with a sticker or washi or something. But I'll put this at the end. So June 30th is the last day of June. This will be whatever it is I plan to do on that page, and then this will be the cover page. And then as you can see, it is perfectly staggered. And that's the, I mean, I thought it would be a lot harder, but when I was doing it, I'm like, if I just count down, and I always count across or this way the same, and then I count down the same, then I mean, I really can't go wrong. Again, the only thing that might be different is how much I actually fold over, but that doesn't bother me because I know it's still going to be way smaller than the actual tab for the divider, so it's still going to be protected. All right, guys, so that's my video. Again, 3 hacks on different things you can do with the dividers in your planner. And this actually would work in any size planner that you have, whether it's a mini, a classic, the big, the Happynichi, the micro mini, whatever it is. I mean, so long as either your coloring page is big enough to fit your divider. It would be harder if you're not working on dot grid, but I mean, again, if I wasn't working on dot grid and it was just either blank or some other thing, then I would just kind of eyeball it. I wouldn't be so anal that I would measure it, but you certainly could. But all of these tips are something that you absolutely can do in whatever planner that you have. This is going to be my all-in-one go-to. So I do want it to be as pretty and yet as functional as I can make it. All right, guys, that's it for me. And as always, aloha.